لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Welcome to all, friend and foe, those who are watching for benefit and those who are watching for other than benefit, those who are local in person, those who are abroad, out of the country, out of the state, and another continent. We say welcome to all of you. And we mean that. Welcome to everybody. Khairan inshallah. With that being said, tonight's lesson, the Philly special, is on HadithDisciple, a summarized version of the prophetic seerah of An-Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala. In our last class, a couple of weeks ago, we were speaking about the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam's death. His death. When exactly did he die? And how old he was when he died. Some of the specifics and some of the details regarding his burial and his funeral procession. We mentioned that in the last class. We also mentioned the fact that the Messenger of Allah, والسلام, he remained in Mecca for 13 years. 13 years. And some of the ulama, they say it was only 10 years. Some of them, they say it was only 10 years. And some say 15 years. And we explained all of this last week with regards to the different discrepancies regarding history and the historical dates and the times and the places, and how oftentimes in history it's not always something exact and precise, especially in the history of the Arabs before they took on certain practices and cultural norms of other civilizations with regards to organization, with regards to structuring their society, etc. But things were simple, things were basic. And from that is that they kept a general concept of time, of the year, by the events, by the happenings. And then when the Prophet ﷺ moved to Medina, and when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, and the companions who made the actual Hijri calendar, they made the calendar based off of the Prophet ﷺ's Hijrah. And before that, it wasn't like how things are with regards to the common era, the Gregorian calendar, etc. We explained all of that before. And we also explained the importance of the Messenger of Allah والسلام, staying in Mecca for that amount of time, why he was there for such a long time in comparison to him being in Medina. And we also explained some of the brief differences between the Meccan period and the period of Medina. And we also clarified a widespread misconception, even among some people who may attach themselves to knowledge and to the Salaf, and they say that we're living in the Meccan period. Us, not just in America, not in the Western countries, but the Muslims as a whole are in they're in the Meccan period. And that's how we should behave, and that's how we should learn and practice Islam, only according to the Meccan period. And we said, هذا غلط, the khata. That's wrong, and it's disrespect. It's disrespectful. And it could lead to kufr, making that statement. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla says, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. On this day, I've completed for you your religion. And there lies no doubt, there's total consensus, unanimous agreement, is that that ayah was sent down after the Meccan period. That was from the last verses that were sent down upon the Prophet alayhi salam. So it's very important for us to understand this and for us to be careful of what we say. Are the Muslims weak? Are the Muslims divided? Are the Muslims separated? Do we have major cracks in the fundaments? That's one thing. But that does not mean that we're living in the Meccan period. And not only is that a wrong statement and a disrespectful statement, an extremely dangerous statement, obviously there's an agenda behind that statement. That which is convenient, propagate and pump from the Medini period. Do this, say this, wear this, marriage, we'll practice all of that. But that which is inconvenient and that which doesn't go with our agenda, political agenda, Dawa agenda, we lay and relax on the Meccan period. We're in the Meccan period. But what you're doing right now, is this from Mecca or Medina? Of course it's from Medina. Everyone understand this? Saying this and propagating this, that's all from the period of Medina. But when it's something which is uncomfortable or inconvenient for you, then we're what? Now we're in the Meccan period. Everyone understand this? Now we're in the Meccan period. Like a husband, he may mistreat his wife and he wants all of his rights from his wife, and he says, "Yani, you have to obey me, you have to listen to me, you have to give me my rights, be intimate with me." That's all in Surah An-Nur, Surah An-Nisa, Surah Al-Baqarah. It was all sent down in Medina. But when she demands her rights, her basic treatment, says what? We're in the Meccan period. This is before these ayats were sent down. This is yani hypocrisy that we have to be careful of falling into and picking and choosing the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal that we wish to practice. If we don't have the ability to do it, we don't have the ability to do it. And we say that it's the deen, this is what Allah says, this is what the Messenger of Allah says, that's the rule, no doubt. But in this state, or in this country, or in this situation, we don't have the istita'a, the qudra. We're not ajizun, and we can't do it. But we believe that it is a rule, and it is a law. I would understand this is very important for us to understand this. Alright? Khairan, inshallah. Then the Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, ثُمَّ هَاجَرَ إِلَى الْمَدِينَةِ فَأَقَامَ بِهَا 10 سِنِينَ بِلَا خِلَافٍ وقدم المدينة يوم الاثنين لثنتي عشرة خلت من شهر ربيع الأول. قال الحاكم وبدأ الوجع برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في بيت ميمونة يوم الأربعاء لليلتين بقيتا من شهر صفر. And then the Prophet, he went to Medina. He left Mecca and he went to Medina. There are many countless benefits in the Prophet's hijrah, him leaving his hometown. And this is a lesson for all of us. Is that لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. Allah says you'll never obtain piety, a high level of piety, until you spend of that which you are fond of. You have to sacrifice your comfort, or your family, or your money, or your business. Some things you have to sacrifice. And the Prophet ﷺ, he left his hometown. He left his family, his friends, his kin, and his kith for something that was greater. And that was the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the first lesson that we get from this point is a tadhiyah. It's sacrifice. You have to be willing to make sacrifices as a Muslim. Everyone understand this? And unfortunately, there are people who won't accept Islam. They say, I know Islam is the truth, but I can't stop this. Or I won't be able to do this. I can't stop smoking, or I can't stop drinking, or I love pork. Or some people, they say, I can't accept polygamy. The deen is the truth. I know Islam is the truth, but I cannot accept the fact that my husband can be married and sleep with another woman. I can't accept that. Okay, if you can't accept that, but you're willing to deny and reject the haqq that you clearly affirm and acknowledge. You can't sacrifice some of your comfort and some of your own personal pleasure and your emotions for what your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wants from you. Something's seriously wrong. You're going to risk eternal misery in the hereafter for pork, for ham, and for bacon? Why can that? You have to be able to sacrifice and give up things that you love for something that's greater. Secondly, the second thing we benefit from that part of the story is Shari'atul Hijrah, is that it's legal, it's legitimate, it's from the deen to make hijrah. And as we've explained before, we've done several classes on the channel about hijrah in Islam. We've done detailed discussion of hijrah, of what hijrah is in Islam. Sometimes hijrah is physical, from one place to another. Sometimes hijrah is spiritual, leaving the haram, leaving the disliked, leaving that which is doubtful. And sometimes a person may make hijrah from one non-Muslim land to another non-Muslim land because it's a better non-Muslim land. A better non-Muslim land, which the Muslims are more. Or the political atmosphere isn't as violent and turbulent, it's more tolerant. Okay? You understand this? There are more masjids, more students of knowledge, more knowledgeable people, whatever the case may be. And sometimes you may make hijrah from a non-Muslim land to a Muslim land. And sometimes you may have to make hijrah from a Muslim land to a Muslim land that's better. To a Muslim land that's better. It could be a neighborhood, a height. It could be a part of a city or a town or a country. So hijrah is from the deen, as we have explained in detail, and the benefits of hijrah. And Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he gave a lengthy discussion on the true hijrah. And the true hijrah, he says, is never just with crude flesh. It's never just with one person's body, but it's the hijrah of the mind, the heart, and the soul, the inside. That's the true concept of hijrah. Because you can live in a prophet city and not pray. And wallahi, we've seen this with our own two eyes. You can live in Mecca and drink alcohol. We've seen this with what? Our own two eyes. And you can live in Philadelphia or New York City or Valley Stream. You can live somewhere and you can be righteous and pious. Everyone understand this? And the same applies to being a student of knowledge. As we've explained many, many times. Being a student of knowledge is not how many pens you have. Or you have a book, a Meccan in your pocket. So you're a talib al-ilm. Or what type of cap you wear. This is a student of knowledge, they wear this type of kufi. or what type of thobe you're wearing, who made it, who's your tailor, or what you smell like, or your sajda mark, or your beard. That's not the definition of a student of knowledge. A sister is a student of knowledge because she wears all black and gloves, and she wears the Saudi abaya that's on her head and not her shoulders. The sister who has the overgarment on her shoulders, she's not tolerable to the ilm. And the one who has it on her head, she's tolerable to the ilm. Nah. That's incorrect. Student of knowledge begins and ends with this and with this. It's how you hold and conduct yourself. All right? How you think, how you feel, how you behave. That's the true essence of a talib al-ilm. And if it's manifested in how you cover your head, if it's manifested in the gloves that you wear as a sister, if it's manifested in your beard, if it's manifested in what type of pins you have, alhamdulillah. But that's not the beginning nor the end. A true student of knowledge is in the heart. And no one can take that away from you. If you don't go back to Egypt, or Medina, or Mecca, or Yemen, or this or that, you're always a what? A talib al-ilm. And you're never someone that becomes complacent and relaxed. I don't have to study anymore. I don't have to read anymore. I don't have to go and do anything anymore. No. Talib al-ilm is something which is eternal. It never ever stops. That's the true essence of being a student of knowledge. Is being one who loves the dalil and loves to read the dalil. Is a bookworm. Someone who's attached to books day and night. You can never ever get enough reading. And the most torturous thing and the worst situation to be in is being stuck in a place in which there's nothing for you to read. Nothing for you to read. A fish out of water. That's a talib al-ilm. And that is not an age or gender or sex or race or color or a wardrobe. You understand this? There is no wardrobe and uniform for a student of knowledge. You understand? A student of knowledge can wear pants and a shirt, and a student of knowledge can wear an izar or a thobe or whatever is your cultural dress. That's very important for us never to get caught up in the outward sense of what a student of knowledge is or isn't. Khair, inshallah. Also, we benefit from the Prophet's hijrah is you have to know when to fight and when not to fight. You have to know when to fight and when not to fight. As the wise general said, he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. You can't fight every battle. You can't stand in front of every enemy and adversary. Rather, sometimes you have to retreat. Sometimes you have to withdraw. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. It's a basic principle that you learn when you're young. You understand this? And it's not about cowardice or being afraid or scared, but it's about being wise. And the true combatant who is successful is he who fights when he must, and he who refuses to fight when he should not, no matter what the people think or feel. One who advances and it's not time to advance, one who retreats and it's not time to retreat, they're both wrong. Rather, here we have to fight and take our chances, and here we must withdraw and retreat. We must, for one reason or another. So the Prophet ﷺ, he left Mecca, and he didn't stay in Mecca, and he could have stayed in Mecca. Could Allah not have supported him and helped him? Did Jibreel ﷺ not come to him? Could he not say, no, we're not going to leave, we want to stand our ground? That's not what he did. He left Medina because there was imminent danger for him and for his companions and for his dawah. It was imminent danger. You understand this? So this applies to daily life. Getting into an argument with somebody, your wife or your husband. It's no point in arguing because they're not going to listen to you. There's no point in you being stubborn and pig-headed, trying to force your opinion. Don't fight. And this is a chance in which you have to say something, even if they're not going to listen to you or they're going to be mad or upset. You have to do it. You have to stand up now. You have to know when and when not to. You have to know when and when not to. And it's one of the most important skills of life. You have to know when to get out of dodge. When it's time to back off. And that's what the Prophet taught us when he made hijrah. He had to leave Mecca because Mecca was unsuitable. It was unsuitable for him, his companions, and for his dawah. And it was a time and a place to reestablish a new place. And that was Medina. That was what? That was Medina. Also from the fawaid of the hijrah is that a Muslim should never ever be reckless. Never be reckless. Always have a plan. Always have a strategy. Always have tactics. And always and only make calculated risks. Calculated risks. You never just make reckless and haphazard risks, but risks that you calculate. The Prophet said he didn't just leave Mecca and walk to Medina. He had planned it out carefully and delicately. Who he was going to leave with, what day he was going to leave on, who was going to take them on the road, who was the most knowledgeable and learned person of the tariq, the rules that they were going to use against the mushrikun. who was going to stay in Mecca to make them think that he was still there because they were trying to kill him. They were trying to kill him. So the Prophet said, he didn't just go out as many of us do. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. No, you have to plan it out. You have to strategize. You can't just be haphazard all over the place. And the deen is never ever haphazard, nor is it ever reckless. So you have to take calculated risks. You have to plan it out. You have to make istikhara. You have to think about it. And then when you come up with your plan, bismillah, put your trust in Allah. It may work, it may not work. It may work, it may not work. Something unexpected may come up, but I've tried my best to make the plan fail-proof. According to your means and your circumstance. Everyone understand this? And the details of the Prophet's hijrah, it was not reckless and haphazard. And there are many other benefits as well. The permissibility of hiring a non-Muslim to do a service for you. The guide wasn't a Muslim, he was a mushrik, who led them to Medina, who got them out of Mecca, and then many, many, many other things. Allah will always protect his servants. No matter what the odds, Allah will protect you. Allah will take care of you if you put your trust in him. And if you place your reliance upon him. And if you follow his commands, Allah will take care of you, one way or another. And there are countless other benefits when the Prophet ﷺ left Mecca and went to Medina. Another very also an established fact that many people don't know is that the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't just go to Medina and knock on the door. Rather, he had planned, quote unquote, conspired. He had met and agreed with the Ansar before he left Mecca. Way before he left Mecca and went to Medina, he had made, once again, a calculation. He made a plan. And he never just left Mecca. But he left Mecca after he had met them when they came on Hajj. The Ansar, the Nuqaba, the captains. They came and they made Hajj. And they met the Prophet and they heard about his Dawa in Medina. All right? And they knew that the worship of idols and spirits and gods and goddesses and deities, Latin, Uzza, and these things was wrong. And burning people or burying children alive and murder, and they knew that these things were wrong. And they were looking for guidance. And they heard about Muhammad's Dawa. And they came to Mecca and they had planned and organized a secret meeting. A secret meeting. Several times, several meetings, in which, what are we going to do? I'm going to leave Mecca, but you guys have to guarantee and assure me that you'll protect me. And that you'll look after me according to how you look after yourself and your own wife and children. And this goes back to what I just said about making plans. And that does not go against tawakkul. It doesn't go against putting your trust in Allah to make tangible plans. You drive in a car, put gas in the car. You make sure you have the necessary things for your engine. Your brakes are working, everything's working in the car. You say, Bismillah. But what if I get into a car accident? Or what if I get pulled over? Or what if? That now is pure tawakkul. Absolute tawakkul. Bismillah. I don't know what can happen to me. I've done all that I possibly could have done. And then you start driving. So the Prophet ﷺ, he met with them before he left Mecca. And they made the bay'ah. They gave him the oath of allegiance. They swore by Allah that they would protect him and look after him and uphold Islam. And this also goes to show us that Islam needs tough guys. Islam needs tough guys. Guys that are tough. And guys that are serious. And guys that are dedicated to physically protecting the deen. And not people that are weak and scared and afraid. Everyone understand this? But people that are tough. And Islam never ever commands us with weakness. It's not from the sunnah to be weak. Physically, spiritually, morally, mentally, you're supposed to be strong. Everyone understand this? And if it wasn't for these strong companions, where would the dawah have been? If it wasn't for the money of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Uthman and this companion, where would the what? The dawah be? So when we talk about establishing community, we need bankers, we need tough guys, we need thinkers, we need this, we need all the skills to make a successful community. And it's never just knowledge, and that's all we need. No, it's not true. Because if I'm coming and teach a class, and I'm not a tough guy, which I'm not, and someone's going to threaten me or harm me, I'm not going to come and teach the class. Unless it's safe outside. And the people that make the neighborhood safe are the what? The big ahis. I don't understand this. Am I clear on this? But obviously, for someone to dedicate and devote himself to the service of the masjid, he has to eat. He has to take care of his family. The lights, the microphone, the carpet, that comes with the what? The movies and the shakers. Everyone understand this? The financiers, people who funded. Everyone understand this? So the Prophet said he laid out the blueprint for successful dawah and successful life in Islam from the hijrah. Everyone understand this? So the Ansar, these companions, they came to Mecca, they met with him, and they made an agreement and an alliance to protect him and to look after what? Look after him. And this is what the Mushrikun feared. They knew that if Muhammad got the necessary support and the necessary protection, he would pose a serious threat to their way of life. And that's why they warned against him and made accusations what? Against him. Because they knew that he what? He posed a threat to them. And that's what the people of Batil do, wherever you go. Anyone who threatens their comfortable life, they have to assassinate their character and bring scandal and slander, even if it's not true. Because they know this one right here, what he's talking about and teaching is going to what? Too much for us. And it's going to expose the reality, and it's going to shed light on things that we've been keeping in the darkness for many years from the ignorant sheep and the fanatical followers. You start talking like this, and this is that, and this is what the Sheikh really said, and this is what the hadith really means, and this is what the ulama really say, and so on and so forth. Whoa, slow down. And that's why they never ever attack what you actually say. They never counter what you say, but they attack you as a person. Or they themselves go on the offense. But they can never ever scholastically counter what you bring. If you actually look at it, scholastically. You're this, and we're going to attack him, pick, cut, and paste, so on and so forth. But the actual thing that you're saying and the content of your dawah, they can't scholastically stand up, and they know that. And one of the reasons why they can't, because they themselves haven't studied. And if they studied, they barely studied. And if they studied for some time, they studied in a narrow scope. And they only pick and choose what suits them. So this is what the people of falsehood do. They have to slander someone's character. Muhammad is a madman. Muhammad's Majnoon. Muhammad's this. Muhammad's that. And they warned the people from listening to him. Because they knew knowledge, strength, and money equals a problem for Quraysh. And we can't have that. We can't what? We can't have that. And we won't have that. Everyone understand this? And this is what anyone that's not on the haqq, Muslim, non-Muslim, whatever, whoever the person is that they must assassinate the person of truth. Physically assassinate them or morally assassinate them. But the actual core of their message, if it's a true message, there's not too much they can do. It's not what? It's not too much they can do. Everyone understand this? It's not much. And history has clearly taught this. With all great leaders and revolutionaries and visionaries, that they can never attack their methodology, but they could attack them as a person. Oh, he does this and kada. We caught him in this, and that's all they can do. Or physically try to bully you, and they may even take your life. But as long as your message is true, it will remain eternal. Khairan, inshallah. Khairan, moving forward. He says, أَقَامَ بِهَا عَشْرَ سِنِينَ بِلَا خِلَافٍ. And the Prophet, he stayed in Medina for 10 years without any discrepancies, no difference of opinion. He was there for 10 years. And some ulama, they say it was 11 years, but obviously he didn't complete the 11th year. So it was only actually 10, but it was towards 11 years. And there's a very long discussion with regards to the period of Medina and the differences between the period of Mecca and how the legislation came down. But even though there were new laws, new rules, new commandments, new prohibitions, new abolishments of superstitious practices and shirk and kufr and disobedience, there were many things that remained the same. Obviously, the call to Tawheed remained the same. Ibn al-Qayyim, he says that Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا أَيُّهَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Oh, you who believe, tubu, repent to Allah. Jami'an, all of you, for you to be successful. Allah tells us in Surah Al-Nur. Ibn Qayyim, he says, Allah told the companions to make tawbah. He told them to repent to him after the legislation was sent down, after they fought in his cause, after they left their parents, after they sacrificed, and Allah still told them to do what? Make tawbah. And he says this proves the absolute necessity of tawbah. And there's never a time and a place in which you do not need to make tawbah. And there are many other things that were sent down in Mecca and also sent down what? In Medina. Are you understand this? And the connection between the seerah and between the Quran al-Kareem and its sciences is like this. They go hand in hand. With regards to the style of the surahs of Medina, and with regards to what was going on and what is mentioned in the seerah when the Prophet and the companions went to what? Medina. Also, we have the Ansar, the indigenous inhabitants of Medina, all right, whether they were polytheists or Jews, those who supported the Muslims there. And then we have the Muhajirun, the immigrants, or those who migrated from Mecca to Medina. And we know that the Muhajirun were better than the Ansar. They had a greater virtue over the Ansar. And that is because هؤلاء جمعوا بين الهجرة والنصرة. They made a combination of both. They left their home, and when they got to Medina, they also did what? They helped out. They supported there as well. The Ansar, all they did was what? Was support. They didn't have to make any hijrah. So the Muhajirin obviously were better. The Muhajirin were more virtuous. You understand? They were what? They were more virtuous because they did double. They left their homes and they made nusra. They supported Islam when they got to Medina, right? And there are countless lessons in that as well. The fraternity, the brotherhood that the Prophet made between the Ansar and the Muhajirin, and he abolished any type of prejudice or discrimination, tribalism. Now, I would understand this, and the concept of the Muhajirun feeling that they were just, beggars, and they were just taking handouts from the Ansar. He abolished these things, and we know that he made a pact and an agreement between the two. All right, to keep the Ansar and the Muhajirin what? Closely knitted together, and that's very important as well. And this goes to show us, as we said before, we cannot ignore the social realities that we have and the social ills. You can't ignore this. And we can't just say, oh, well, if we study this book and listen to the sheikh, all of our social ills will just magically go away. That's not true. That's not what? It's not true. The Messenger of Allah was there, and he still specifically did what? He addressed the what? The social ills. And from the social ills that they had was tribalism. The Ansar among each other fighting, killing each other. The Ansar and the Muhajirin were better. This is our home, this is Medina. You guys came to our city, so on and so on and so forth. He got rid of all of that. And he knew the mentality of his people. So if you're in a masjid, a country or a town, in which you have people from different countries, and you know how they feel about each other back home. Those from this side of the border look at each other like that, and those from the other side of the border. You have to what? You have to work on that now. You can't just give every khutbah on this romantic topic, but you have to talk about that now. Okay, the Muslims from this part of Philadelphia are no different than what? The Muslims from that part of Philadelphia. There's no virtue of West Philly over North Philly, North Philly over West Philly. We're all believers, we're all Muslims. There's thorough people from this section, and there's corny people from that section. There is no superior part of Philly. West Philly, North Philly, South Philly, everything. It's thorough people wherever you go. Everyone understand this? You have to focus on that. If it's an issue, black and white, Indian, Pakistani, whatever it is, whatever the dynamic may be, you have to talk about that. And you have to fight hard to abolish that which is in the hearts. And it does not necessarily go away just because Islam is there. Who could be a better teacher than Muhammad? And it still was what? It still was there. But it was there subtly. And that's why those hadiths, they show us that these things only came out on a large scale when there was a fight or an argument. But if everything is peaceful and calm, it didn't come out. So they got into a fight and argument, and they started fighting, and the man, he went to his side, and he says, oh, the Muhajirun. And the other one said, what? Oh, to the Ansar. I got my squad, what? That only came out through what? Through conflict. But it was there, subtly. Everyone understand this? It was there what? It was there subtly, and it came out. And that's when the Prophet, he made his speech. What is this call to Jahiliyyah? And I'm among you? You still cling and clutch to the filth of Jahiliyyah, and I'm here? Everyone understand this? There is no better, superior, this one or that one. Everyone understand this? So these things have to be addressed. The social ills of the community and the society have to be talked about. And it cannot be swept under the rug. And you cannot think or feel that it's just going to magically go away because of a class or a book. Everyone understand this? We're living in a fantasy world. And if the last 20 years haven't showed us anything, they've definitely showed us what? That is that there has to be hands-on tarbiyah. Has to be what? Hands-on tarbiyah, practical tarbiyah. And to have the issues that we suffer from, they have to be tackled specifically. And the majority of our time and our efforts and our energy and our resources have to be spearheaded on those problems. We talk about the other things, we discuss them, but the major problems that we have, they have to be focused upon. Everyone understand this? And that is the wisdom of the Prophet ﷺ. And there are countless benefits of the hijrah to Medina. Countless other benefits. Moving forward, he says that the Prophet, he went to Medina on Monday, the 12th day of Rabi'ul Awwal. And we explained before about that important day and that symbolic day, which is what? Monday. And being born, this, that, we talk about what? Monday. And Allah knows best. He says here, Hakim says, that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ began suffering from illness and bodily pains when he was in the home of his wife Maymuna, when he was in the house of his wife Maymuna, and this was on Wednesday, 2 nights left of the month of Shahr Safar, and we spoke about the Prophet passing away. Faslun, the next chapter, he says, أرضعته صلى الله عليه وسلم ثويبة بضم مثلثة مولاة أبي لهب أياما ثم أرضعته. He says here, he's going to speak about the wet nurses of the Prophet ﷺ, the women who gave him nourishment, who fed him, who suckled him. All right, and this obviously is important from several aspects. The first aspect is that any important person, any person who is pivotal or integral to any type of movement or society or time or place, every single thing about that person's life and upbringing and education and cultivation is important. Everything. So we have someone who's a king or a sultan, right? Sultan. His father's a sultan, a sultan, or his father's a chieftain. That boy is molded to be a leader and to be a great warrior or a great scholar from day one. From the name that he gives his son, to who he allows to feed his son, to how and when he puts his son on the back of a horse, his education, his training, horsemanship, archery, everything he's taught in the royal court from day one. And they pay close attention to who's around this child. This is a special child. And one day he's going to be a special man. And that was how they looked at the Prophet ﷺ, even before Islam. And those who weren't Muslims, but they knew that Muhammad was a sign of good. And they looked after him. They looked what? And they made sure that he had good nourishment. And he had good education. They sent him to the what? The desert, the wastelands to learn Arabic, the pure Arabic. You understand this? And not to be in the congested city. And not to get the illness of Mecca. The pilgrims, the travelers, the traders, the merchants. People brought sickness and disease. They wanted Muhammad to be physically what? Healthy, strong. From what? From day one. So that's why, or this is one of the reasons why it's important to mention who were the women who did what? Who gave him breast milk. Also the concept of breast milk and how important breast milk is. We know this from history, from culture, let alone modern medical science. And those who are fed by their mothers, or a woman in general, how intelligent they are, and what type of illnesses and sicknesses don't come to their body, and the connection that they have to the woman that feeds them and gives them breast milk. Everyone understand this? There's a great amount of wisdom in that. It's a great amount of wisdom in that. All right, moving forward. So he mentioned some of the women here who gave the Prophet ﷺ milk, Thuwayba, okay, and there were others, all right, Halima or Hulayma bint Abi Dhu'ayb, As-Sa'diyah, all right. So moving forward, he says, وَنَشَأَ صلى الله عليه وسلم يتيما فكفله جده عبد المطلب ثم عمه أبو طالب. And then we know the Prophet, he grew up as a yatim, as an orphan. And he was taken care of by his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib took care of him, like I just said. He looked after the young boy, and he knew that the young boy was special. And when Abdul Muttalib was about to pass and die, he instructed his what? He instructed Abu Talib to look after this young man and take care of him. And they were mushrikun. And this also goes to show us that Allah Azza wa Jalla will use people for his deen, even if they're not Muslim. And even if they're not pious and righteous, he used them. And the Prophet ﷺ wouldn't have survived if it wasn't for those mushrik people. They took care of him based off of Allah's command. He says here, وَطَهَّرُهُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ مِنْ دَنَسِ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ فَلَمْ يَعَظِّمْ صَنَمًا لَهُمْ فِي عُمُرِهِ قَطْ وَلَمْ يَحْضُرْ مَشْهَدًا مِنْ مَشَاهِدِ كُفْرِهِمْ وَكَانوا يطلبونه لذلك فيمتنع ويعصمه الله تعالى من ذلك. He says that the Prophet ﷺ was protected from idolatry. He never worshipped idols. And he never showed any respect to their idols. And he never magnified their gods and goddesses, ever. Even before he got the revelation. Allah had purified and protected him therefrom. And he never went to any of their gatherings of shirk and kufr. He never went to their celebrations and their Eids and their festivals of shirk and kufr. He never did that. And whenever they wanted him to go, he would refuse. And Allah Azza wa Jal protected him. Going back to what I just said. Going back to what I just said, from day one, purity. From day one, cleanliness. From day one, protection. Everyone understand this? Moving forward. He then says here, summarizing and moving forward, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ 12 سَنَةً خرج مع عمه أبي طالب إلى الشام حتى بلغ بصرى فرأى بحيرة الراهب فعرفه بصفته فجاء وأخذ بيده وقال هذا سيد العالمين هذا رسول رب العالمين هذا يبعثه الله حجة للعالمين قالوا فمن أين علمت هذا؟ قال إنكم حين أقبلتم من العقبة لم يبقى شجر ولا حجر إلا خر ساجدا ولا يسجد إلا لنبي وإنا نجده في كتبنا وسأل أبا طالب أن يرده خوفا من اليهود فرده. He says here, when the Prophet was 12 years old, he went on a journey with his uncle. They went to Syria, obviously for commerce, to trade. They were merchants. As Allah says, لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. Allah says, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Have you not seen how your Lord destroyed the people of the elephant? That Surah Fil and Surah Quraysh, according to some scholars, are practically one surah. It says one surah. Allah, as if the surah goes like this. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Have you not seen how your Lord destroyed the army of the elephant? لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ, for the protection of Quraysh. إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةً الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ, on their journeys in the winter and in the summer, meaning to and from what? Syria. To and from Syria. Everyone understand this? Allah protected them and He kept them safe. He kept them safe in Mecca and He kept them safe in Syria and in the road. Everyone understand this? And that was from the reasons why He destroyed that horrible army, that great army, Abraha's army. Everyone understand this? They were technologically advanced and above and beyond the Arabs. The Abyssinians, the Romans, the Byzantines, etc. The Arabs were a simple society. They had no chance of beating them and winning. And Allah protected them. Everyone understand this? And that's why Allah says, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. So let them worship the Lord of this house. Because I protected you, make tawheed with me. Everyone understand what the Quran means? You owe me that. I protected you, so now single me out and worship. It wasn't this God, it wasn't this deity, it was only me. Everyone understand how the two surahs are connected? And some of them say they are the same surah, one surah. Fil and Quraysh. Everyone understand this? So therefore, the Prophet traveled with his uncle to Syria. And obviously we learn from this is that you have a young man, you have to treat him like a young man. If you have a young woman, you have to treat her like a young woman. And you can't shelter and spoil your son all of the time. You have to teach your son how to be a young man. You have to take him out of the house. You have to take him on the road. He has to see things and experience things from young. You have to allow his mind to develop like his body is developing. Everyone understand this? People that feed their children and want their children to be big and strong. The mother, she says, eat, and eat some more. And you also have to feed his mind. You have to do what? Feed his mind. And the best way is allowing your son to travel. So if I ask you, when's the last time you took your son on a journey? When's the last time you took your son somewhere? When's the last time you took your son and you went to another state or another city? When's the last time you took your son to a different country? When's the last time you and your son on an airplane or a boat or a train? Everyone understand this? And we all know the importance of traveling and what you get from traveling. And you see things. And you learn how to be rough and rigid. You learn how to be flexible and versatile. You learn how to adjust. You learn different cultures, different people. You learn that the world is not, Everyone understand this? This is one of the reasons why people fall into inner city urban delinquency. Is that they think that the whole world is just my block. That's it, my neighborhood. There's much more to life than getting shot or being in jail for all those years. There's much more to life than just these few associates that have. There's much more to life. And oftentimes people, they don't know that because they've never seen anything. They've never been anywhere. They've never been taken anywhere. Everyone understand this? So take your sons and your daughters and travel with them. Let them experience Allah's earth. And let them see, yes, son, you can be this when you grow up. You can be a train conductor if you want. You can be a pilot if you like. You can live in another state if you like. You can go here. When you see that mountain, you see this, you can climb that if you want. Teach them that there's many, 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 many things that Allah has made. And it's much more than just a concrete jungle. You understand this? So he took his nephew with him on a trip. And he was only 12 years old. And obviously the trip was dangerous. All right, traveling today is dangerous, let alone then. There were no cameras and state police. It was dangerous. There were robbers, hijackers, bandits. Everybody saying this, insects, animals, all types of things. And he took them, and he instilled in him courage and strength as a young man. So he took him to Syria, and also he learns how to trade. He learns the tricks of the trade, how to make business, how to do a business deal, how to be honest, how to make a deal. You understand this? He learns how to watch out for people that are trying to cheat. He learned all these things as a young man. So they went to a place called Busra. All right? It says here, fi Junub Gharb Syria, in the southwestern sector of Syria. So they came across Bahira Rahib. It was a monk or priest. A monk or a priest or a rabbi, al-muhim, a religious man. A monotheist. It wasn't necessarily what? A mushrik. He was a monotheist. And he had knowledge. No, he wasn't an idol worshiper. And when he saw Muhammad, he saw the young man, he knew his description. Is that this is what the books or the scriptures say how this prophet is going to look. And he grabbed him and he brought him close. And then he said, he grabbed his hand and he says, this is the master of men. He's the master of men. He's the best. He is going to be the messenger of the Lord of all of the worlds. This is it right here. He's special. And he's going to be special. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will send him. So they asked him, how do you know this? How do you know this? He says here, because you came from a place, you came from a region, he says, and there are no trees, there are no stones, there are no mountains or boulders, except that they made sujood. They all prostrated themselves to this young man, Muhammad. And they only prostrate to someone who's a Nabi. And we find him in our books and our scriptures. And as we've explained before, with regards to the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, there are many narrations which are famous and popular. And all of those narrations in the seerah are not necessarily specific hadiths or authentic hadiths. But the ulama of seerah, they mention these things. They what? They mention these things. We explained that before. وَسَأْلَ أَبَا طَالِبٍ, and then he asked Abu Talib to take him back. Because he was afraid of the Jews. He was afraid that the Jews would do something to this young man. I.e., he was afraid that the Jews would know, because they had knowledge, is that he is the messenger to come. These are his signs. This is what we have in our scriptures. He's going to threaten our society. Kill him now. Get rid of him now. Don't even let him grow up. I don't understand this. He wasn't a Muslim at the time, that man. But he was a person who knew monotheism. Only Allah knows how he died, in which state he died. Al-Muhim is that he was fearful upon Muhammad for those jealous, envious people. And they have no parameters. They don't mind killing a 12-year-old or poisoning him or whatever. Put a sihr on him. It doesn't matter. As long as we keep him from being what he's supposed to be. Because we know what kept many people from accepting Islam. There are different reasons. And one of the reasons why the Jews of Medina did not accept Islam is because of jealousy and envy. حَسَدًا مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِهِمْ, Allah says. They were jealous. And they were envious that Muhammad was from the offspring of Ishmael and not the offspring of Ishaq or Isaac or Ishaq. Everyone understand this? Jacob, the 12 tribes, right? Everyone understand this? The Arabs and the Jews, the offspring of Abraham. Everyone understand this? Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, etc. So Muhammad's lineage went back to Ismail, who was the grandfather of the Arabs. And they wanted the prophet and the messenger who they knew was going to come. وَكَانُوا يَسْتَفْتِحُونَ, Allah says, and they used to use him as a means of threatening their enemies in Medina, the mushrikun. The mushrikun. The prophet is going to come and we're going to destroy you, you idol worshippers, you ignorant savages. That's what they would say to them. But they didn't have an idea and a clue that the chosen one was what? Not a Jew. And that's why they didn't accept him. Because they were envious and they were jealous. And they wanted him to be of their lineage and of their bloodline. Everyone understand this? And that's a very long, deep story in itself. Moving forward. ثم خرج صلى الله عليه وسلم ثانيا إلى الشام مع مسيرة الغلام خديجة رضي الله عنها في تجارة لها قبل أن يتزوجها حتى بلغ سوق البصرى. And then afterwards, the Prophet, he went to Syria a second time. He traveled to Syria a second time. And that was when he was on a business mission for Khadija, radiallahu anha, before they even got married. And there are many benefits that we learn from this part of the story. From them is that a woman can have money, a woman can be successful, a woman can be wealthy, and a woman can be independent in the Islamic sense. And a woman doesn't always have to be totally dependent on a man for everything. And it shouldn't be a thing in which a man has total autonomy and tries to dominate her in every aspect and use the deen for that. And when we talk about feminists and feminism, feminists are tripping, everything's chauvinism, everything. You can't get mad and you can't get upset. And that's because if it wasn't for your ignorance and your bigotry and whatever you're upon, there will be no feminism. Feminism is a product of chauvinism. Feminism is a product of men oppressing and wronging women. And those women, they said, we're done, we're tired, no more. And not only do we want to stand up for our rights, we're going to go to the extreme. Everything, every aspect of life, all sports, the military, kullu shay. Women are just like men, better than men. They can do it. We don't want no men in this masjid. We don't want no men on this board. We don't want no men. We want to do it. Women. They went to the extreme. They went extreme. All right? So feminism, we know everything in feminism isn't bad. And everything about feminism isn't against the sunnah. There are many aspects of feminism which is supported in the deen. And there are many things, obviously, in feminism which is what? Against the deen. Like any other movement. Like any other what? Movement. Extremism. Everyone understand this? So Khadija, radiallahu anha, she was wealthy and she was successful. And obviously she was a strong woman. She was a strong woman. But she needed someone to take care of her affairs. And she saw the Prophet was trustworthy and the Prophet was skilled. He was strong. Everyone understand this? Another thing that I'd like to mention before I stop here is many people, they abuse this story. They abuse it. And they say that a man, first and foremost, he should not get a second wife at all. There's no reason for a second wife. Only have one wife. Everyone understand this? Monogamy is the way to go. Why? Because it's expensive, bills. How can you support another woman? How can you live with another household? So on and so on and so forth. And they say, I accept polygamy, it's in the Quran, Allah says it, but, however, I know, but it's not for me, or whatever excuse they make. And then those who say, no, you can't say that. If a man wants to take on a second wife, that's fine. But we put it in a marriage contract. You cannot get married to a second wife until after 10 years of you being with me, or 15 years, or 20 years. Or one marriage contract, which I saw, and this is not an exaggeration, Allah knows I'm not lying, is that you get a second wife when our children are in college, and when I'm of this age, and when this goes away, then you can what? Then you can have one. That's a stipulation in the contract. And they say the proof for this, the dalil, is that the Prophet didn't marry another woman until what? Khadija passed away. It goes to show that all his love and his heart was what Khadija, Khalas. So therefore, that's the sunnah. Have one wife for all of these years, then perhaps later on what? Maybe you can take on a second wife. Now, we know that this speech is very erroneous from the beginning to the end. The first reason why it's erroneous is, before we even get into the delay, just common sense. Common sense. What are you going to do after being with a man for all of those years? Every night, just you and him. Dinner, waking up, going to sleep, traveling. And then magically, after 10 years or 15 years, you're going to say, go on, take another wife now. What's easier? For you to have a co-wife in the beginning, or for you to become accustomed to his smell and his warmth and his manliness and his grumpiness in the morning, and you making breakfast for him and his shoes in the middle of the hallway for 10 or 20 years? Common sense. That doesn't even make sense. You become accustomed to a thing. It's extremely difficult to do what? Do away with a thing. Weaning somebody off of something is very difficult. Everyone understand this? So that doesn't even make sense. Secondly, the whole concept of why get a second wife. What's the purpose of having a second wife? When I'm old and withered and worn out, then you marry a second wife. And then the first thing that a woman is going to say is, you love her better. You're attracted to her more than me. She's younger, she's this, she's that. I'm old, I'm worn out. And it's going to be a what? Major argument. Or take on another wife and I'm in my prime, she's in her prime, may the best woman win. Everyone understand this? It's clear that you love me and it's clear that you're attracted to me. Everyone understand this? I can bear you children. And she may be able to do the same thing. It's a competition, no doubt. But you can't say that if you're 40 and 50 and he marries a 19 or 20-year-old. That's the first thing you're going to say, is that you're just marrying her because she's young. So that doesn't make sense. Thirdly is the concept, or from the reasons of taking on a second wife, is to have more children and increase the Muslims in number. How can you do that if you're 40 and 50? You may be impotent. You may not have the ability to what? Drive home a home run like that anymore. It's a reality. What I'm saying is you can hit a double or triple, but you're not the same batter anymore. You're older. This is reality. It's what? It's reality. So you've already excluded one of the major wisdoms of polygamy. You've excluded it now. Marry her when you're 60. That don't make any sense. Let alone the fact that the Prophet stayed with Khadija for all of those years. Why? Was the legislation of polygamy sent down? Was Surah An-Nisa sent down? Was Surah Al-Baqarah sent down? I would understand this. Were the detailed verses, ayat, mujadila, mumtahina, all of what is sent down when he was married to Khadija? Of course not. It was before he was even a what? So you're not even making sense. Going back to that Meccan period. Understanding. I understand this? So just look how oppressive that is now. Take care of me, treat me kindly, do this, be my knight in shining armor, pay the bills, give me everything that I'm supposed to get, my rights. And that's from the period of Medina or Mecca. It's from Medina. But you taking on a second wife, the next verse or the first before that in Surah Nisa al-Baqarah, what? No, we're in the what? The Meccan period. Everyone is saying that's how the shaitan creeps up on people? And that's exactly what it is. The Prophet, he was married to Khadija for many years before he was even a prophet and a messenger. Everyone understands? Before the legislation was even completed. So, beware of the shaitan on all aspects. And obviously, we know brothers, they make mistakes concerning polygamy. May Allah help us all. Brothers aren't perfect. And brothers, oftentimes they're oppressive and they're ignorant. But that does not justify you looking down on the system. And people, they say, well, you can get a second wife if. You can get a second wife, keva. A second wife is only, that's the rule of everything. You can't get married if. You can't have children if. You can't do this if. Everything's if. So why so many stipulations against something, but everything else is absolutely open? That's double standard. And many sisters, they what? They fall into that. Just like many brothers also fall into double standards. They want a second wife, they want to implement the sunnah, but they want to take care of a woman and provide for her and give her her haqq. So we're always going to have these major problems and quarrels unless we're balanced, unless we have the proper knowledge, and most importantly, the proper practice. Men yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fid din. Whoever Allah wants good for, He gives them a good understanding, wisdom of the religion. What to do, what not to do, when to do it, when not to do it, etc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, have any questions here before we take some from online? No? Bismillah. The question says, if a person is junub on Friday, Jumu'ah, and they make the ghusl for Fajr, is another ghusl required for the Jumu'ah prayer? If they consider a ghusl for Jumu'ah prayer is obligatory. But the ulama of Islam, they differ over this issue with regards to if a person is junub on Jumu'ah, do they have to make one shower or two showers? They differ on this issue. And before we go that far, we know that the ruling on making the ghusl, washing, bathing for Jumu'ah is also a difference of opinion. And most of the ulama of Islam, they hold the view that it's recommended to make the ghusl, that it's recommended and not obligatory. And some ulama, they hold the view that it is wajib. Both sides have their proofs and they have their evidences. That's in brief. So therefore, if making the ghusl of Jumu'ah is difference of opinion regarding, then obviously it's not the same as ghusl janaba. There's no difference of opinion. That person has to make that ghusl after sexual defilement. After you become ritually impure through intercourse. Everyone understand this? That's number one. Number two is, if a person is going to say that you can combine two washes in one, Jumu'ah is ghusl, the ghusl of Jumu'ah is wajib, And the ghusl for janaba, I plan to make too. Make sure that it's after the time of Fajr coming in. After the time that Fajr has come in. So hypothetically speaking, let's say Fajr comes in at 5:55. Hypothetically speaking, you have to make the ghusl starting at 5:56. You cannot make the ghusl at 5:50, 5:45, or 5:30, however long you wash up and scrub, whatever you do. You cannot make the ghusl before it's time for the adhan of Fajr. And it is your intention, that's number one. Number two is your intention has to be initially for janaba. You understand this? I'm making the ghusl for janaba, and also including in that, my intention for Jumu'ah. As far as if a person says, I'm going to make my intention for Jumu'ah and not the janaba, that's going to become problematic. You understand this? You understand so now? So therefore, the best thing to do, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, to keep it simple, avoid the difference of opinion, and make 2 baths. So, let's say you have a shower, which many people have, a shower. You get in the shower, say Bismillah, or whatever, and you make your ghusl for janaba. And obviously we know there are 2 ways of making a ghusl for janaba. There's a simplified way, and there's a detailed way. The simplified way is to make the intention in your heart, and to wash your wet your whole body, and then inhale and snort the water in your mouth and your nose. That's ghusl janaba. No soap, no scrubbing, no shampoo, no conditioner, no loofah, no sea sponge, nothing. Everyone understand this? Salt, Himalayan crystals, whatever you use, eucalyptus, tea tree, right? Peppermint, Dr. Bronner's, whatever soap you use. Everyone understand this? Peppermint or almond? Which one? Peppermint. Okay. You put the water on your body from top to toe, and make sure that you put the water in your mouth and your nose. That's ghusl janaba. I'm done. And that can take 30 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute, if that. Then you make your ghusl for Jumu'ah, in which you use your shampoo and your conditioner and you scrub and your rubber ducky and so on and so forth. Everyone understand this? In which you wash up and you clean yourself and you smell good. There's a difference. And obviously when you make that ghusl, there's certain things to avoid, such as touching your private part without a covering. That's the issue. Does touching the private part break the wudu? And everyone understand this? Clear on that. If you do that, that's the best thing to do. And you've made your ghusl for intercourse that you did at nighttime or in the morning, and then you made your ghusl for Jumu'ah. That's it. Whether you go to the masjid or whether you go back to sleep, whatever you do. But the best thing to do, according to Imam Malik rahimahullah, is to make the ghusl for Jumu'ah right before you come to the masjid. Right before you come to the masjid, where you're fresh. And that's the ghusl of Jumu'ah. Man ja'a minkum al-jumu'ata falyaghtasil. Everyone understand? So that's the discussion in itself. That's the summarized answer. Hopefully that's more than clear. Question says, do books with ayat or full surahs printed in them used for proof, like books of Aqidah or books of Tafsir, etc., carry the same rulings of the Mus'haf? No, they don't. The Mus'haf is special. And the different views with regards to can you touch it without wudu, with wudu, etc. But it's not the Mus'haf. It is not the Quran at all. So it's different ruling. Being junub, non-Muslim, menstruating, etc. However, these books are to be respected. They're still to be respected. You don't just toss them around and throw them around, because it says Allah's name mentioned therein. Ayats from the Quran mentioned therein. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Question says, initials are from Philadelphia. Is it permissible to make a documentary about Islam, or is it impermissible because of video images? And if so, can you be one of the speakers? Making a documentary about Islam and having videos, images, and things like this, it goes back to, what do you think, feel, or know about tasweer? Is it permissible to use a camera or not? If you say it's haram to use a camera, you can't take pictures, you can't take videos, then you can't do a documentary of living creatures that have souls. A tree, a landscape, different story. Humans, animals, birds, no. And if you feel that it is permissible to make a video in Islam or to take a picture, for whatever reason, as long as it's not a haram picture, someone naked, something pertaining to homosexuality, unnecessary violence, etc., then you say it's permissible to make a documentary, and it could be recommended to make that documentary. It could be obligatory if you have to defend the deen and explain the deen and clear up misconceptions. Clear up what? Clear up misconceptions. All right? I don't know about the last part of the question. It says, can you be one of the speakers? inshallah, I don't mind giving it that. Inshallah ta'ala. May Allah bless you, I don't mind. Question says, was Waraq ibn Nawfal Muslim? Did he aid Muhammad? Peace be upon him. I was reading something, his name was in the context, but it wasn't clear to me. Some of the ulama of Islam, they say that Waraq ibn Nawfal was a companion. Some of them said he was a companion, and he believed in the Prophet ﷺ according to what he was allowed to believe in at that time. In the beginning of the message, before the verses were sent down in abundance, and they say that he says, and if I'm alive during that time, yudrikni, he says, if I'm alive, he says, ansurka nasran mu'azzaran. He says, I will support you strongly. Ya laytani jada'an idh yukhrijuka qawmuka. He says, oh, if I was a young man, a young what? Man. A lad, a young chuck, right? When they kick you out of your hometown. When they kick you out of your hometown. And he says, I will mukhrijiyahum. He says, my own people will kick me out. Look at that. He says, will my own people what? Kick me out from my own city? He says, no one brings what you're going to bring. Illa udiya. Except that he will have hatred. They'll show him enmity. So some of them, they say that was a proof that he believed. And others, they say it's not clear proof that he was a believer. And him knowing that he was truthful and saying that he would help and support him does not necessitate him being a Muslim, let alone being a companion. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Allah knows best. A question from the sisters? I don't know. طيب. تفضل يا أخي.
When they said the Prophet he had there's a seal between his shoulders, what was the description? They said he had something between his shoulders.
Question was with regards to the seal, the prophetic seal. Some of them they say it was like the egg of a dove, the baby hamama, or like a pigeon, not too big, not too small. And Allah knows best. Question comes from UW, initials UW, from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. What advice would you give to a woman who is considering being a second wife? Like any other situation. If it's good for your deen and your dunya, put your trust in Allah and do it. If it's not good for your deen and your dunya, put your trust in Allah and stay away from it. If it's good for your deen and your dunya, but there's another situation which is better for you, which is more beneficial for you, then do that. Just like any other situation. I would advise women, and Allah knows best, look at polygamy like normal monogamous marriage. All right, he's a good brother. He's wealthy, or he's not wealthy, but he's financially stable, or he's not. He has a roof to live under. Whatever your desire is. Let's say he's wealthy. He got money, right? He's handsome. He's a nice dressing brother. He's pious brother. He has knowledge. That would make you want to marry him if he had no wives, right? If you have a one wife or two wives, you have those good characteristics found in a husband, look at it the same. Look at it what? The same. Everyone understand this? Then there's a brother who has no wives, but he's a bad brother. Or he's a good brother, but he has a major character for him. Very bad anger problem. Or drug addiction. Or he has no money and he doesn't want to work at all. And he has no wives. Don't say, I'm going to marry him. There's no difference. Look for a good husband regardless of the situation. Now, if the situation of polygamy does not suit you and you know that for sure, then that's a different what? Story. That's a different story. So if it's a good thing for you, bismillah, do it. And there were women that were much better than you, much more knowledgeable, much more righteous and pious, and they were co-wives. They had many wives, 7 other co-wives, 8 co-wives, 6 co-wives. How often did they see the Prophet? But they were happy. Because the Prophet, he made them happy. And they knew the reward and the benefit of doing that. So you have to gauge it based off of your life and your iman. If it's good for you, then do it. If it's not good for you, don't do it. If you need more time or attention or whatever the case may be, then you have to determine that yourself. What's important is, many people, they forget the fact that time moves very, very, very fast, all right? Or quickly. You may think every other night I can't be with him, but before you know it, in a week, every other night you get used to a person. Let alone the fact that you may not want to see him what? Every day. I need a break from Brother Fulan. This is a reality. This is what? It's reality. Everyone understands I need some space. Don't sweat me what? Too much. All right, there's wisdom in this. It's what? It's wisdom in this. So a woman, she may have children. She may need time to prepare. She may need time to prioritize. And it's a reality. There's some women, they may have children or without children, and they don't know how to manage things properly for their husband. He comes home from work, and everything is a mess. House is a mess. Her hair, Allah knows how it's looking. Her clothes, food is almost done. She may not have the ability to do that like that every night, every time, to be a housewife according to the Sunnah. So that day off or those 2 days may what? No doubt. Let alone maybe seeking knowledge. I can go to my classes. I don't have to worry about where you at, what you're doing. Come in the house right now. Stuff for the law. Don't leave. Don't go to the brother's class. This is reality. Many brothers are like this. Whether we what? Want to accept it or not. You be shocked at some brothers. You be shocked. You be shocked. You would be what? You will be shocked. The same brothers in the match say, hey, this and that. They're tyrants in the house. Huh? I have many female students, not even America, from outside of America, other countries, that came to me and complained to me about their husbands trying to prevent them from seeking knowledge. They don't want them to seek knowledge. And they make petty excuses. Oh, Yani, your housewife duties, or you'll never do this, or why can't you study with a sister? I'm not saying nothing about the brother, but Muhammad ibn Munir, I don't think it's good for you, your voice. And the bottom line is they want to keep their wives what? Ignorant. That way they can dominate them and control them and tell them to do whatever they want to do. This is the hadith, it's authentic, khalas. Well, I studied here, Mufti mentioned on live stream that Imam Ahmed said hadith is weak. So technically I don't have to do that. They don't want that. They don't what? They don't want that in their houses. Because the more ignorant you are, the more I can control you. I can say, lick my toes right now. And if you don't, you're going to the fire. If you have no knowledge of the deen, you may go for that. So be mindful of that. There are many wisdoms in polygamy. Do we understand that Allah Azza wa Jalla, Al-Aziz Al-Hakim, Al-Hakim Al-Alim, He sent down this ruling and this legislation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Question says, WB from Overland Park, KS. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless you and increase you in status. Do you have an advice on making righteous companions and overcoming shyness? Inshallah ta'ala, there's nothing wrong with being shy. Everybody's not a social bug. Everyone is not meant to be a social person like that. It's not wrong with being a loner, as long as it's not against the sunnah. You come to the masjid, you pray, you made hajj, you made umrah, and you seek knowledge. But I don't like to hang out that much. I don't like to be around people unnecessarily. There's nothing wrong with that. As far as making friends, the best advice is to just let it flow naturally. Let it flow naturally. Go to the masjid with the intention of going to the class or praying, and someone is going to speak to you. Someone's going to bump into you. Someone's going to say, I'm such and such, nice to meet you. Someone's going to invite you to have some tea in the masjid or some food in the masjid or a pastry or something like this. Let it flow naturally, inshallah ta'ala. And people that are like you and have your interest, they're going to find you, and vice versa. Let it flow naturally. Let it what? Let it flow naturally, and Allah knows best. Question says, as far as overcoming shyness, then all shyness isn't bad. All shyness should not be overcome. Some shyness should remain. As we've explained before, an explanation of Riyadh Salihin, that shyness which is bad is the shyness which prevents you from doing the obligatory duties. The obligatory duties. So you're a student of knowledge, you studied overseas, you went to Egypt and you benefited. You come back to America and who says, please give a class, give a khutbah, help out the community. We need everybody that has ilm. He says, I'm too shy, I'm scared, I'm afraid of making a mistake, I'm afraid of standing in front of other people. That is now, that shyness is blameworthy now. It's no longer a good type of shyness. Are you understand this? A good type of shyness is a brother, he asks you for something and you really can't afford it. You really don't have it, but you give it to him. Because I'm too what? Too shy to say no. And Allah will bless you with more money. Can I borrow $20? I say, Fadl. But actually, that's the last $20 I had. Or I had to buy some bread and eggs. Allah will bless you with more. So it depends on where the shyness is being used. Sometimes it's good to keep and to enhance, and sometimes shyness is bad, and you have to overcome it. Ask Allah to remove the shyness, which actually isn't shyness, but it's cowardice or insecurity. Ask Allah to remove it from you. And oftentimes, the best way of removing shyness is to confront it directly. So, let's say, for example, if you were my student, let's say, for example, and I knew that you were very, very shy and scared of doing a khutbah, and I knew that you had the ability to give a khutbah. You don't have to be Ibn Taymiyyah. I'm not Ibn Taymiyyah or nothing close to. It's not a condition that you have to be Ibn Taymiyyah to give a khutbah. It's not a condition that you have to be this spellbinding island to get on the member. It's not a prerequisite. But I know that you can do the proficient basic job. But I know you're very, very, very shy. And I know that if I don't force you to do it, you'll never ever do it. So I may have to force you to do it. And the best way is for you to just stand directly in front of the headlights, throw it in the water. So we come to the masjid. I want you to hang out with me today. Let's do our class after Fajr, okay? And inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to have breakfast, right? We hang out the whole day. So you're going to be with me the whole time. Go get dressed. We come to the masjid together. 12 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock. You're sitting there. Where's Mufti? Or Muhammad Ibn Munir? And I'll send you a text message. Not feeling that well, Akhi. Which I'm not. Okay. It's not a lie. As I speak right now, I have a migraine. Painful migraine, but I'm still talking. So I can still do it. I can still do the khutbah, but I'm not lying. I'm not feeling that well. So I'm not going to tell you to do the khutbah. I'm going to tell Abu Sajid, go get, you said it. Go get him. Go get your son. Go get him. What do you mean? What? Bismillah. Allah. Make the adhan. And he escorts you what? To the minbar. There's no turning around. Now you what? You have to give the khutbah. And you may make a mistake or you may fumble or flounder. That's okay. That's how you learn. That's how you get good. So people today, they come up to me, mashallah, your khutbah, subhanallah, I learned so much. It was deep, it was heavy, mashallah, mashallah. The first time I gave a khutbah, I wasn't scared, but I was very nervous. Extremely nervous. I was 18 years old. Masjid full of brothers. And I literally felt like I had seagulls in my stomach, birds flying around. But I did it. Alhamdulillah. And look now. Practice makes perfect. But if you're always sat back and uncomfortable, inshallah, he's older, inshallah, you'll never ever learn. So you have to be thrown to the wolves to learn how to what? How to defend yourself. No doubt. Everyone understand this? So that's the best way of overcoming shyness, is forcing yourself to be in that position. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Question says, from OS from Columbia, Missouri. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. May Allah reward you with good. Have any books with the narrations of the Salaf been translated into English? Barakallahu feek. Of course. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you. Sahih Bukhari. Full of narrations of the what? Of the Salaf. Sahih Bukhari is in English. And there are many narrations of the what? Of the Salaf. It's one of the best books of the Athar. So people, they have this book and that book, and they want this exotic book, and Fulan, and Kava, and right dead smack on the shelf is what? Sahih Bukhari. In which Bukhari quotes from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. And Aqidah, Fiqh, Tafsir, even Lugha al-Arabiyyah, kullu shay. You understand this? No doubt about that. Move forward. Suhail Hussein. Is ghusl obligatory when entering Islam? Please mention where you're sending this question from. Jazakallah khairan. You send us the town or the city, and we'll be happy to answer the question. Initials AA. From Montreal, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I'm traveling for 2 weeks and I shorten and combine my salah throughout the trip. You intend on staying there for 2 weeks. That's your intention. The safest thing to do is to make the normal prayer as soon as you get there. As soon as you get to Montreal or wherever you're going, make the residence prayer. Because you have the intention of staying for more than 4 days. You have the intention of staying for more than 4 days. That's the safest thing to do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. HA from New York, New York. What advice can you give to the youth in regards to marriage in case so many people do not want to get married until they get their degrees and finish college? It's a very long discussion. And that's a very unfortunate situation. Degrees, college, education, white collar, jobs, etc., people's parents. You have to have a degree before you get married. It's unfortunate. Is having a degree a benefit? I will be a hypocrite if I said it's not a benefit because I have a degree. I'll be hypocritical if I said that is of no benefit. But a degree isn't everything. A degree isn't what? Isn't everything. All right? I've been in America for how long now since I left Medina? If you ask me how many times I pulled out my degree and presented it to someone or took it somewhere, literally without any what? Exaggeration. So degree isn't what? It's not everything. It don't make you or break you. It adds to you, but it doesn't make you or break you. It doesn't what? It doesn't make you or break you. Degree is not everything. And there are people who have degrees who starve. And the deen and outside of the deen. There are people who have degrees who spend 20, 30 years paying off their debts, who live with interest and riba and stress and all types of stuff. So degree is not everything. But inshallah, hopefully they can help you. Now, the general concept of parents saying, I want my son to have some type of stability. I want my son to have something under his belt before he gets busy with a wife and kids, whether it's knowledge of the deen or the dunya or both. I can agree with that. But you can't get married until you get a degree and graduate and stuff. I can't agree with that. Because marriage has many benefits and many needs. Okay, reasons why a person needs to get married. And that may be before a person does what? Graduate. You may need to be married to finish school, to focus, or to be protected from fahisha. Let's keep it real now. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "O assembly of youth, get married." Because getting married allows you to lower your gaze and allows you to keep your chastity. The Prophet, he never said that marriage helps you be mature. Marriage allows you to do this. Marriage keeps your sexual desires in check. Bottom line. What? Bottom line. Many people, they become bewildered and they become delusional. Oh, well, you just want to get married because you want to have sex. You just want to get married because you want to have sex. And is there something wrong with that? I want to have sex in a permissible way. That's a reason to get what? To get married. This is why do parents they think like this? You don't want to get married to raise a family. You don't want to get married to do this. You just want to get married because you have, and you weren't 18 before, Abby? You weren't a young man before? Were you a Muslim your whole life? We see your pictures from Jahidi that you keep. Come on. The tattoo, this girl's name. You never had a girlfriend before? You never knew what it was like to have a crush on somebody? Come on. The child be speaking maybe from out of wedlock. So be real, keep it real. And there's nothing wrong with that. Is marriage just sex? Of course not. Of course not. No, there's many, many other aspects of marriage. Responsibility and stress and drama and problems and all types of marriage is serious. But from marriage, it's having intercourse. So if your son wants to get married and he's fearing of falling to zina or being addicted to internet pornography or falling to homosexuality or any other vice, you need to get him married. You need to do what? You need to get him married. And the same applies to your daughter. Or would you rather your daughter bring home an illegitimate baby? Would you like to walk in and see your daughter with some cat for God? Would you like that? Would that please you? Of course you would. So we have to be realistic as Muslims. And we got to stop the fakeness. We got to what? We got to stop the fakeness. We have to stop being fake. Allah knows best. Question says, Assalamu alaikum. Can you offer a reminder of the value of gratitude? Barakallahu fikum. Yani, if you be grateful, then Allah will give you more. As Allah tells us in the Quran, that your Lord has announced, La in shakartum, la azidannakum. If you're thankful, I will give you more. So everything that you have of good, just imagine having more of it. You have a business, you have houses, you have real estate, alhamdulillah. Wouldn't you want more beneficial things for your family and your son and your daughter, and to take care of them and to give more sadaqah, more zakat? So just thank Allah. It's just that simple. Allah knows best. The question says, how should we understand? It says, salam with Islam. Inshallah, you need where you're from. Please stick to the HadithDisciple format. Initials, town, city, state, country, etc. Jazakallahu khairan. Initials A-H from, A-G-D from Fort Worth. Assalamu alaikum. Reflecting on the story of Ibrahim, I have a feeling my father will say no to me getting another wife. How do you advise? You mean getting another wife, like polygamy, or getting you were divorced or separated or your wife died? If it's taking on a second wife, you don't need your father's permission. You don't need your father's permission to get married in Islam. You do not need the permission of your parents, your mother or your father. Seeking their counsel, asking their advice, giving them, can I get married, Abby, out of respect and making them feel good, alhamdulillah, but it's not a condition. It's not a what? It's not a condition. If you're suited to take on another wife, you can afford her, and you have the responsibility and the maturity, etc. Bismillah. Bismillah. Allah knows best. SE from Munich, Germany. Not a question. Mufti just wanted to say that this was one of my favorite classes of yours. May Allah bless you. Jazakallah khairan. And bless all the hadith disciples in Germany. Next question says, NH. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti, you skipped my question. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to scroll through the questions. I don't have a reader like we normally have in New York.
No.
So forgive my incompetence and my ineptness. Let's look for Sister Nazia H. NH, I don't see it. Inshallah, please send the question again. Say, keep it 100, Mufti. Love and charity. Inshallah. I don't see the question, Sister Nazia. I'm so sorry. Could you please resend it? Please forgive me. JF from Massachusetts. My parents said I shouldn't seek knowledge online, but I live far from a masjid and I can't drive. What should I do? Do both. Disobey your parents. Seek knowledge online. Don't listen to them, because that doesn't make sense. Seek knowledge the best way you can. And on the weekends or every other weekend or once a month, drive 30 minutes or 2 hours to the masjid in which is a student of knowledge or a scholar or an imam or a qadi, whatever knowledge you're seeking. Like Umar radiallahu anhu used to do. One day he would work and the neighbor would go. One day the neighbor would sit with the Prophet, he would work, etc. Back and forth. There's no excuse why you can't seek knowledge. Okay, and as Ustad Zakaria said in the conference we did a few years ago, he says ignorance in this is 2016, I think he said this. He says ignorance in 2016 is a choice. There's no doubt. Ignorance in 2018 is a choice. There's no excuse why you cannot seek knowledge. No excuse. You work, you're in jail, you can't read, you're blind, you're deaf, you're in a wheelchair. There's no excuse why you can't learn. There's no excuse why you can't learn. You have to seek knowledge, but do you really want to seek knowledge? So, inshallah ta'ala, that's not true. You can learn knowledge online, and you can learn knowledge in person. How much have I learned from Sheikh Uthaymeen, or Sheikh Albani, or Sheikh bin Baz, or this scholar? I never met any of them. They died, I was in high school. I still was in high school when they died. And only Allah knows how much I benefited and learned from them through their tapes and their books. So you can learn a lot from the virtual world. Well, this is before the virtual world, tapes, but you get the point I'm trying to make. We have people here, people watching from Germany. What time is it in Germany right now? Do we realize that, brothers and sisters? And I want to say this as a means of gratitude and thanking all of the brothers and sisters who sacrificed time. You get a question from Indonesia or Somalia or Russia or China, all different countries you hear. It's 8 o'clock or 8:30 Eastern time. In that country, it may be what? 2 a.m., 3 a.m., only Allah knows. And they, as soon as we open up the live stream, they do what? Immediately pop up. Everyone understand this? So the point is, they learn and they benefit from me, and they're not with me in person. And there may be people that are in my family. Reality, family members, flesh and blood, who don't learn and benefit anything from me. People that are in front of me that don't learn, so there's no excuse. You can learn online. Obviously, if you have the ability to learn in person, that's the asl. That's the default. It's to sit at the feet of a person, of course. So I would say mix both. Allah knows best. Question says, MT, please explain where you're from. Jazakallah khairan. The Hadith Disciple format, once more, as a friendly reminder, is your name, first and last. If you don't want to mention your name, you mention your initials, your city and state, or a country or town or village. Those are our rules. We're not saying that's the Quran and the Sunnah, and it's a bid'ah. If you don't, or salah, you can say whatever you want. But if you want us to answer the question, you have to what? Obey our rules. You're going to go to the same University of Medina. If you're over 25, you're what? You're not getting in. If you don't have a high school degree or GD, whatever is equivalent to, you're what? You're not getting in. Does the Quran and Sunnah say you have to have a high school diploma? Does the Quran and Sunnah say you can't be 25? But no one will say that what? To the Islam University of Medina. They have their establishment and they have their rules. We have our establishment, alhamdulillah, we what? We have our rules. If you can't obey them or you think it's stupid or whatever some people do, that's fine. But we don't or we won't what? Take your question. Jazakallah khairan for understanding and for cooperating. MR from Hyderabad, India. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I want you to Google what time it is in India right now. Somebody.
It's 2:30 and 2:30 a.m. in Germany.
2:30 a.m. in Germany. Somebody's what? Seeking knowledge.
India's like 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 a.m. in India. People on live stream trying to benefit and learn. We have people in the same time zone who what? I couldn't make the class, Sheikh. I couldn't make the class. I was busy. I was tired. I was katha.
It's 7:05 a.m.
Yeah, I may be going to work, making breakfast, or Allah Alam what they have to do. People, they what? They want benefit. They do what? They'll make a way. Question says, MR from Hyderabad, India. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What is the ruling on ringtones and alarm tones that contain music? Jazakallah khairan. They should be avoided. There's so many different options. You can put a frog, you can put a horse, you can put rain, water, a train. So many different ringtones that you can replace with those that are musical. So many different ringtones, inshallah. That's the best thing to do. It can be a quote from a book, anything. You could say something. There's so many different alternatives that you have. That's why I call it a what? A smartphone. It does what you want it to do. It does what? What you want it to do, because it's smart. It complies to you. So there's so many different alternatives that you have, and all one's best. Question says, Nazia H, I just sent it again just in case. I'm looking for it, inshallah. Hayat A, Philadelphia, PA. What advice would you give to a single mother for whose children father isn't involved? He isn't practicing. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He won't waste His servants. He'll never waste His righteous servants. He'll take care of them and He'll look after them, with this one or with someone else. So if the father isn't there, there's going to be an uncle or a brother or a family friend or a neighbor, or there's going to be someone to look after them and to help them out on one level or another. Many of us, some of you, people from around the world, maybe their fathers weren't around. My father died in the war. I had a classmate in Yemen from Bosnia. He was in Yemen studying. He said they killed my father, they killed my uncle, they killed all the men in my family, then they came looking for me and I left Bosnia, I left the war. He didn't have no father or no uncle to raise him. But he was in Yemen seeking knowledge. Somebody taught him, somebody looked out for him, somebody helped him out. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, if He takes something away from you, He can give you something what? Much better. So some people he may not have a father, but there's an uncle. Or maybe somebody, a neighbor or a friend. There may be someone, a bum on the street, to teach you how to be a man and show you the ropes of life. What's important is that Allah Azza wa Jalla will take care of His servants. So you do your job as a mother, you look after them, you protect them, and do the necessary things that you have to do. Whether it's getting married, taking them to the masjid, putting them in classes, involving them in sports. It could be a coach, anyone of a positive role model who's a male. And a young man and also a young woman, they need men in their lives. They need men in their lives, just like they need women in their lives. And one of the biggest problems and one of the most painful wounds that have been inflicted on us is single parent homes, unfortunately. Single parent home is going to be something missing. No matter if you're a super dad, you're not a woman. You could be a super dad. You pay for them, you cook, you take them to do this, you take them, buy them toys, but you're not a mother or stepmother. You could be a super mom. And unfortunately, there are many women who think and feel, I don't need no man. I can do it myself. I'll buy them sneakers. I'll take them to basketball practice. I'll take them to the masjid. They think that. And then when things don't go right, things go sour, things go south, something major happens, and oh, subhanAllah, or let me get married, or let me take him to the masjid, or his uncle and this and that. You should have thought about that years ago. You should have thought about that years ago. A lamb cannot raise a lion. Impossible. It can't be raised. They're two different animals, and vice versa. There's nothing like the soft, tender touch of a woman. You can't teach her how to be a lady properly 100% because you're a man. That's why there's always balance. What they said, dhakaru can untha. Allah says male is not like the what? He's not like the female, and the female is not like the what? The male. That's why the Prophet, he cursed people who imitate and play the opposite gender role. He curses them. لَعْنَ الْمُتَشَبِّهِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ بِالنِّسَاءِ وَالْمُتَرَجِّلَةَ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. He says that he cursed both of them. So, do what you can to get someone in their lives of a positive role model and a positive father figure, etc. SH from Beham, UK. Is ghusl obligatory when entering Islam? The ulama of Islam, they differ on this issue. Some of them, they say that it must be done. And others, they say it's recommended. It's recommended. Some of them say it's obligatory if you were junub. All right? Scholars, they differ over this. And perhaps, bid'nai ta'ala, if you have the ability to make a ghusl, inshallah khair. But it being obligatory, that's a different story. That's a discussion with regards to that in the traditional books of fiqh. Tayyip, moving forward. Question says from Nazia H. Oh no, wait, it says here, 1 second, AJ. Well, sorry, I skipped it. It says here, Tayyip. Says AJ Jash, Manchester, UK. Is it okay to combine prayer because times are very close together? Barakallahu feek. Jazakumullahu khairan, may Allah reward you. No, each prayer is to be made in its proper time. And you're not to combine the prayers unless there's a reason of traveling, of sickness, of irregular bleeding that's not menses. You're going to go through surgery. You're going to be stuck somewhere. You're not going to be able to pray. If there's not one of those out of the ordinary circumstances, the prayer that must be made in its proper time. In its proper time, to the best of one's ability. MS, UK, London. How do we understand the hadith with the mention of Allah coming to the believers on the Day of Judgment in a form which they don't recognize and then from which they recognize? Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, Amantu billah wa bima ja'a anillah ala muradillah wa amantu bi rasulillah wa ma ja'a aw bima ja'a an rasulillah ala muradi rasulillah. He says, I believe in Allah and that which is mentioned about Allah and the intended meaning of Allah. And I believe in the messenger of Allah and that which is mentioned from the messenger of Allah and the intended meaning of the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The authentic hadith is real, it's not figurative, it's literal. Allah Azza wa Jal has the ability to do all things. And He is the most perfect and He's never like any of His created beings. That's how we understand that hadith or any other authentic hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And Allah knows best. Question says, thank you very much, teacher, for the answer. I'm grateful for the nasiyah. May Allah bless you. It says, peace lover. As a man, you don't need your father's permission. Please, brothers and sisters, as we've said before, once again, our rules, they don't have to be your rules. Do not answer questions on the live stream. It is not a forum. We've said this before. It is not a forum. Am I the only person that can answer a question? Am I the only one who has knowledge? No. Does it mean I'm being egotistic and I'm the only one? No. But there are rules, and it is not an open forum. It is not a what? An open forum. If you wish to help someone out, answer a question, that's fine. Jazakallahu khairan. But you have to do it what? No doubt. On your own time. Everyone understand this? You make your own mufti Q&A, and you can answer the questions that you like. But here is what? Bottom line. It's very important because things are going to be very sloppy and out of control and out of hand. It can become a messy food fight, next thing you know. Everyone understand this? And that's that we don't want what? We don't want to mess. Inshallah. Moving forward. NH from Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum. Mufti, can you upload all your vids to your website? YouTube said some of your vids are inappropriate, so I'm not able to view them. You did 5 vids on, I don't know what the rest of the question is. I'm not sure what videos are inappropriate or age sensitive. Sign in. I don't know. Wallahi, I don't know. All the videos that we publish are on YouTube. And the link for the YouTube channel is on the website as well. The website was just redone. Alhamdulillah, it was revamped. The brothers and the sisters, or should I say the sisters and the brothers, they've been working on it very diligently. Alhamdulillah, it looks very nice. It should all be there. And Allah knows best. Question says, Nazia H, it says, you did 5 videos on a topic I'm interested in, but was only to view one of the vids. The others aren't available to view. Please send us what exactly it is. Email us or send it here, and perhaps we can shed some light on it. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know. The question comes from KS from Bronx, New York. Assalamu alaikum. Can I do my nafil salah at the masjid? Jazakallahu khairan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, you can. It's permissible, but it's preferable to do it in the house, as we've explained in Lulu Marjan. Question comes from MW, Philadelphia. Assalamu alaikum. I live in Philadelphia. What advice would you give to a sister who got a marriage proposal from someone who just took his shahada? Jazakumullahu khairan. It depends on you. If you feel that he can learn and he can be a good husband for you, do it. If he's a good brother, if you feel like you need someone who's more spiritually mature, who's more advanced or someone who's born and raised a Muslim, because there are differences, then that's what you need to stick with. And we can't deny the fact that there are aspects of compatibility. Yani someone who's born and raised Muslim is sometimes different than someone who took the Shahada. The one who took the Shahada have a stronger iman. But the one who was born and raised Muslim and was pious, not someone that was wicked and wild in Jahiliyyah, but he was a good Muslim guy. He didn't always know the Sunnah, but he was a good Muslim. Tattoos, never did drugs, never had an STD, things like this. You have to take into consideration. Somebody that's coming out of Jahiliyyah may not be like that. Certain things which are normal to you may not be normal to him, or vice versa. I want to visit my family, the kuffar. They invited me over for Thanksgiving, or whatever the case may be. It may not be like that. Let alone someone who's a new shahada. So it all depends on you. At the end of the day, if it's a good brother, if you're attracted to him, and he has good character, attraction is important. Attraction is what? It's important to be attracted to your spouse. He has good character, he's a good brother, and he can provide for you, and he's willing to learn. Bismillah. But my piece of advice is, do not think that you can and will reform him once you marry him. Many women, they think this. He's a criminal, he's a this, he's delinquent. Oh, he's going to do the right thing when I marry him. When we consummate the marriage, he'll start doing it. It does not work like that. And I've never seen it, what? Done before. Or vice versa. The sister is not hijabi at all. Or niqabi. She's going to wear the niqab, trust me, such and such. In most cases, it doesn't what? Doesn't work later on. All right? And the first thing they say is, you want it what? Me. I told you that I like to do this. You know that I like to what? Get high every now and then. It's reality. You know I like to smoke. You knew that.
What you signed up for.
No doubt. Not every day, but what?
Sometimes.
I'm stressed out. It's reality. So you got to know what you're getting into. You have to be mindful. And Allah knows best. Question says, YS Beltsville, Maryland. Is it true that ascribing fatherhood to someone besides your father takes you out of Islam? In this day and age, what is your last name is not the what if your last name is not the same name of your father's name? No, that's not true. It does not take you out of the fold of Islam. Does the Prophet ﷺ say that it is kufr? Yes, in the authentic hadith in Bukhari and Muslim. But it's not major kufr, it's minor kufr, as we have explained in detail. And the explanation of the Lulu Marjan in detail, what those hadiths mean. So if you attribute yourself to other than your father, or other than those who manumitted you if you were a slave, then that is an act of kufr. It's an act of ungratefulness. That's first and foremost. It does not take you out of the fold of Islam. Number two, what does that hadith mean, especially in today's time? Is my father's name Johnson or Martin? Is that my father's name? No, it's not his name. Was that his father's name? No. That could be a family name, or a name from a plantation, or a name from this or from that. So it's not the same as Muhammad ibn Munir. And I'm saying my last name is not Munir. And I'll also say he's not my father. You're my father. That's a different issue. So let the naming system in the Western secular countries, and also in some Middle Eastern and North African secular countries, is not what's meant by that hadith. Attributing yourself to other than your father. I'm such and such's son, and not such and such son. That's one thing. Everyone understand this? Everyone does not have the name of their father. Everyone understand this? It's a difference. It's a huge difference. And Allah knows best. Question says, Assalamu alaikum, AJ, Manchester, UK. Can we combine prayers because of work break? We answered this question the other day. It should not be done. If it's a necessity, occasionally, and it's the only thing that you have at the moment until you get a better job or a better schedule, then that's one thing. But it is not to be taken as a normal practice. AH Philly, PA, on which day of the month are you scheduled to give classes at Imam Muslim Family Center? I like attending your classes. That's up to Imam Abu Sajid and Imam Ali Davis. Whenever they invite me to the masjid and allow me to speak, that's when I come. In general, the original agreement was that I would come the first Friday of every month. However, those who know me know that oftentimes I'm very spontaneous. And sometimes here and there. That's how it is, and that's how we want it to be. And there's wisdom in that. Al-Muhim, the best thing that I can tell you is to please contact the center or contact the website on Thursday night. In most cases, I know for sure when I'm coming on Thursday night. Bi'idhnillah. And there's a difference between I may come or may get stuck in traffic or I'm leaving New York City early. Bi'idhnillah, I want to get you on time. Like today. So Abu Sajid, Ali Davis, inshallah, you contact them or the website will announce it ahead of time. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So the nisab, the minimum, the basic minimum is once a month. But obviously, you're my brothers, you're my sisters. This is, inshallah, we're all a part of this masjid, trying to make this masjid a beneficial place. We try to do it more. We try to do what? We try to do it more. But sometimes we have to travel, or we may be under the weather, or something that prevents us from coming. So,
your hometown. It's hometown.
no doubt. And it'll always be that way.
Philly special.
Philly special. That's right. That's right. That's right. Khairan, inshallah, brothers and sisters. We're going to stop the live stream now. Please forgive me. Anyone's question that didn't get answered, please, inshallah, I'll try to post it for the next live stream or email us. And inshallah, we'll try our best to answer your question. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much for forgiving and overlooking my shortcomings and my flaws with regards to time and your questions. I'm sure you can find it in your hearts to what? Forgive me. Wallahu a'lam. Barakallahu feekum.